A monster roams the blood-soaked streets, body parts carelessly strewn about his lair, and his greatest crime? His Oedipus complex. Victor Frankenstein is a man obsessed. Life, death, God himself cannot stop him. As a child, he vows to defeat the death that took his mother. As a man, he does just that. He creates life from death, and a son is born. Although he has the body of a grown man, the creature is as pure as a fresh babe. Everything is new to him. The warmth of the sun on his body, water flowing between his fingers, a blade slicing through his hand. Pain. Soon pain seems to be the only sensation on earth as Victor tires of his new toy. But the creature finds refuge in the warmth of Elizabeth. Victor, mad with jealousy, inflicts more pain. Written and directed by Guillermo del Toro and starring Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, and Mia Goth, Frankenstein 2025. Please don't be cross with Victor. It's his first time living too. Welcome to the Burnt or Buttered podcast. I'm Toast.
And I'm Stetson. And we talk about movies or discuss movies after we've seen them.
And today,
we are going to talk about Frankenstein. And we both saw this in theaters. It came out on Netflix just like a week ago. Well, it's a Netflix movie, but it did come out in theaters first.
Yeah.
You saw it at kind of an old time theater. What was this experience like there? Was there a big crowd? Was there not a big crowd? How was it?
Small theater, very small.
Mm-hmm.
The screen is actually about the size of this wall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot bigger than my TV, which I was glad about.
Yeah.
Sound was a lot better. Seats, probably much worse than what I have at home. But overall, other than the seats, I think I was okay with that experience. Honestly, I enjoy that experience, but I don't like those seats. Flicks, update your seats.
Yeah, I was glad I saw this one in theaters too. It's definitely a movie made for the big screen.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And there's just so much nuance and stuff throughout the film that really carries well on a big screen. One thing that I noticed just right off the top was the variance in shots that this movie had. There's like one scene, and I just got lost in how many times they switched angles. Mm-hmm. And it was like you'd be on the desk, and then you'd be like around the candle, and then you'd be like up in the attic, and then you'd be like all in one shot. It was like 4 or 5 different like changes of angle in, you know, like maybe like a 2-minute period. And it was interesting and cool just because it was in spaces and from angles that I would never have thought of.
Yeah.
But also it was kind of disorienting at the same time just because it was happening so quickly.
Uh-huh. So I listened to an interview with the cinematographer, and it was really, really cool. They didn't use any static shots. The camera is moving in every shot. They almost exclusively used a 24 millimeter lens.
Wow.
And Guillermo del Toro, the cinematographer, mentioned that Guillermo del Toro would say things like, I want to start way out here wide and then end up on a close-up. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty tough to do as a filmmaker, to actually keep everything in focus and make it look good when you're coming from this vast landscape into a close-up on somebody and making it look good. The cinematographer mentioned that Guillermo del Toro would say things like, well, yeah, that's for you to figure out. And then he'd just walk away.
Which is kind of fair. I mean, he's getting paid to figure it out.
But another thing is, they also, a lot of times when you're doing shots like that where the camera's moving, you'll do what's called blocking beforehand, where they actually will take measuring tapes and measure the distance at critical points in the shot, so they can make sure that it's sharp in those critical moments.
Well, a lot of time they have a person that is their entire job is to focus puller. You know, that's just pulling focus on the camera the entire time, like nothing else.
Yeah. But to help them, usually you do blocking. And they were saying that because of how much camera movement there is and how quickly he wanted to do things, they didn't do full blocking a lot of times. So they're doing, and Guillermo del Toro is on like the, like the headset of the camera operator. So they don't actually, they have an idea of we're going to start here and end here, but he's telling them, oh, go further left, go further, go up, go down, like as they're shooting. And apparently he also edits while they're setting up for the next shot. Like he edits that cut immediately.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, it kind of makes sense in the way that you want to see how that shot's going to look, that 30 seconds to a minute or whatever. And if you shot it really well, then the editing's pretty minimal. I think that makes sense. I feel like that's the only way that I could do it.
Yeah.
Having
to keep it all clear.
Well, and just having 6 hours of footage, way more than 6 hours of footage, that you're sifting through, trying to piece together exactly how you wanted it, 30 days before. I feel like that would be super hard. At least go in and put markers or something on the timelines to know exactly kind of what you're wanting to do on that timeline as it's being cut. But
when a lot of times there's an actual editor, I'm sure that there's an editor on this film. I should have looked up who it was, but that's kind of his rough cut, and then a lot of times directors will just leave it to the editor to put it all together.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it makes sense. When I was watching the movie, one thing that kept coming back to me was it felt very Shakespeareish, and just the performance. It felt, and it's coming from the book, Frankenstein book, which it's very close to the book, which is awesome. But it felt like a play at some points, and the performances felt very theater and play-like. And I don't know if that was meant to be that way or if it was kind of just the feeling that it will always come across from Old English or whatnot. But I enjoyed it, but also it kind of got tiring for me towards that.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily had the same feeling of getting tired of it. I honestly felt like they all did. It's a Frankenstein story, so immediately to accept the movie, you have to accept a lot of abnormality.
Yeah.
And this world that Guillermo del Toro created, with these elaborate sets, just adds to the abnormality for me, which then makes the language seem pretty easy.
Yeah. There were just a few times where the monologues seemed like they kind of went long. What do we got here?
Oh, I'm just feeling a little parched. Probably should have taken that off earlier.
Is that milk or what?
Yeah, you don't drink mother's milk at all times of
At
the day.
all times. I feel like that had to have been in the movie. I was like, there has to be alcohol in that milk. You can't just be just loving milk all the time every
Wait, was
day.
there milk in that movie?
Who's the actor from Dune?
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. Yeah, Oscar Isaac does an amazing job. Sets the tone off super. Thought you were gonna check the whole thing. Sets the tone really well at the very beginning, and adds what I really loved about this adaptation of Frankenstein is that there's so many layers to each character that you never really explore, and I feel like in other iterations of Frankenstein. But with that being said, once we got to the monster story, I was already kind of like, we have a whole nother part 2.
Like a whole nother hour or something.
Yeah, I was like, man, I feel like it felt good getting to the end of the monster coming into the ship. The monster enters the ship. You're like, I guess we do have to hear the monster's side, but we spent so much time like getting Victor's story out. Like, and you know it's gonna be a long story when he's like, it all started when my mom met my father. Like, how do you start that inside of their ship? Like, you just randomly like are brought into the ship because you almost got killed, almost got blown up, and you're about to tell the story, and you have to start it.
Dude, you know what that is? That's Michael Scott when he has a story that you want to hear for the first time. So anyways, I walked into this. Just drag it out as long as possible.
I woke up and for some reason my breath smelled a little bit worse than it normally does, and I decided to brush my teeth 35 seconds longer than normal. And just go into like depth of the stuff that really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Which, to its credit, like, you know, I was talking to Shelby about the movie after we saw it, and she loved that. She loved how long, she felt like it was long enough. Like, she didn't feel like it was too long.
Yeah.
She liked the backstories of everything. Like, she was in it, and she's one of those people that doesn't even like going to the movies that much because she can't like stay focused through the movie all the way through. And she's like, this one like sucked me in, and I was in it throughout the entire movie. And but I feel like they could have cut out a little bit, like some of his speech to the Congress. I feel like could have been cut. His fights with his dad a little bit could have been cut. You know, like just like or when he gets commissioned to make Frankenstein, those conversations could have been a little bit shorter.
So I'm gonna disagree with you. Heavily. I really enjoyed like that first hour. I don't want to change it all.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about it as a whole.
But hear me out. I don't want to change that stuff at all.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff to me was so perfect and set up the characters so well. The part that I felt like dragged for me was after the creature's created. That hour seemed to drag up until like from the time that he's chained up and Elizabeth sees him. After that, until about the point where he opens up the doors and the creature is there, you know, on the ship. Shorten that.
Yeah.
That was the slow part for me.
Yeah. There's a lot that, like, and I agree with you. I think that there was value in there. And passing the creature, because I do feel like we spent so much time after the creature was made and getting to the point on the ship where he opens the doors and he's there, that when we go to part 2, you're just like, I feel like we kind of know what happened to the creature.
Yeah.
Because Victor was kind of pretty close, but you also see this whole life and stuff that the creature has, you know? So yeah, I mean, definitely stuff could be cut there.
I think I have the same critique of this movie and Twin Peaks season 3, which is that your main character is mostly nonverbal for the majority of the movie, you know? And you do get little insights as he's, you know, with the family in that cottage, but I feel like you speed up that a little bit and then show how eloquent and how smart he ends up being, you know, show that part a little bit more for me, because in the book, that's the part that's so interesting, is that the creature, the monster creature. Yeah, the creature has developed a sort of humanity that's simple. I don't know.
Yeah. That's kind of better than humans, you know, in a way. It's almost like because he can't die, he has an appreciation for life in a way. He appreciates life in humans because he can see like the fragility of life inside of humans. Yeah, the nonverbal part of stuff, I do think that, you know, for me, and I think Shelby a lot, like I could feel Shelby like reacting to those moments quite a bit because you have this, you know, grown body, you know, that's experiencing life in a very like fragile, innocent way. And just with Ozzy and like how my 1-year-old is experiencing life kind of in that same way of just like curiosity and not understanding anything and everything else. And then seeing like the cruelty of Victor to the softness of Elizabeth, like both of those things really made it just felt very dynamic. Like you were really getting an insight into the creature that was valuable, but did it need to be as long as it
Speed
was?
it up.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying. So speaking, a lot of this movie has to deal with motherhood or the relationship between mother and son, father and son, son and father, son and mother, you know. Let's talk about Mia Goth a little bit.
I don't know how to feel about Mia Goth. That was a weird dynamic. I couldn't get a read on it throughout the movie where you're just like, is she into Victor or is she just into the weirdness of Victor? Is she into life after death or is she into the creature? What like kind of motivates her? You know, I don't know. Like that was kind of a question mark for me throughout the movie where it felt like there was added to the film for me, but it didn't. I mean, it didn't take away anything, but it didn't really add too much for me.
Interesting. So Guillermo del Toro wrote those parts for Mia Goth, apparently. And she's kind of supposed to be a portrayal not only of a mother character, right, but also of Mary Shelley, the writer of Frankenstein. And so a lot of her outfits and stuff, I listened to an interview with the costume designer.
How many interviews did you listen to?
I did some research, man.
He like directly interviewed every person on
Dude, I wish.
that's involved
if any
in this
of you
movie.
want to be interviewed on the Burnt or Butter podcast, I mean, reach out to us because I would love to pick some brains.
Literally, as if I'm Victor.
But yeah, that was one of the things that the costume designer mentioned was that she dressed her like Mary Shelley, apparently. So there's some parallels between the director and Mary Shelley in their lives. And that's why Guillermo del Toro felt so connected to this. Both of their mothers died either during childbirth or shortly after childbirth. Just like happens to Victor, you know? So anyways, the director Guillermo feels a really strong bond with Mary Shelley. And so I think that he wanted to make sure that she was in the movie, not just her inspiration, you know?
Yeah, maybe that's why it felt a little disconnected for me.
I think that it felt very connected to me. She's a complex character in my mind, you know? So, and Victor he's the narrator, right? And he proves in his like thesis statement before starting his story that he's not a reliable narrator. You know, he's like, not all of it's facts, but it's all true in his mind, you know? So his portrayal of Elizabeth may not be accurate. You know, he's a narcissist, and so he assumes the whole movie that she's into him, right? where a lot of her stuff is her fighting him,
Mm-hmm.
her telling him actively, I choose somebody other than you,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, nah, she wants me.
Yeah, it's like she wouldn't. She's just saying that.
Yeah.
She really wants me.
Another thought that I just had about Mia Goth, or that I had during the movie, was most of the time when I see Mia Goth on screen, I'm like, she's pretty. I wish she'd do something different with her eyebrows. I've seen it now, and stay how you are.
I've never noticed her eyebrows.
Really?
No,
She's like known for having very little eyebrow.
really.
Yeah.
I've just seen her face. I never like really noticed it. She has a very unique face, so like maybe that was just adding to the uniqueness for me, but I couldn't put a finger on it. Yeah, I think that there's a lot. One character that was interesting to me was the captain of the ship, where one thing that I was thinking at the very beginning when he's going through and there's these men just trying to get the ship out of the ice and they're just banging away, and the captain or the second in charge or whatever is like, the men want to know if we're gonna turn back.
Yeah.
And he makes an announcement. He's like, we're never turning back, we're only going to our mission or whatever. And then he like goes to his cabin and like turns on the heater, gets his feet warm and stuff, and we're just like, man, like what? And this is just kind of a side thing that has kind of nothing to do with the movie, but what makes people follow people? Like what is it about that guy, the captain, that motivates these men to be out there banging on the ice, nonstop, freezing their freaking nuts off and probably losing fingers and toes and whatever? Like what is it about just some people that we follow? Like, and even at the end, he's just like, this guy is really selfish. Like, yes, he's paying these people, but at the same time,
not enough.
what makes him innately capable of being just the leader? Yeah. But I mean, like I said, this kind of has nothing to do with the movie, but it was a question that I had, like, as he's just, bossing these men around back in the day or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you think about other leaders, in the world, even, leaders of countries. You have like the Mussolini or, Hitler or whoever, that leads millions and millions of people to do things that they probably normally wouldn't do. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just an interesting thing to me. Like,
yeah. The whole time every time that the captain was on screen, I was like, why are they listening to this guy? Like, why are they listening to this guy? Every decision that he makes, I'm like, this is counter to everything that I believe in.
Yeah. And just, but you look at, just in history, like leaders throughout history, like Napoleons or the Genghis Khans or whoever. And you're like, what is it about this person that demands that you follow them, other than like threats of violence, or pay or what it might be? But at the end of the day, there's got to be something more.
So obviously this is a made up character. It's not even a character from the book. They changed the name and everything. So it's a new character for this movie. But there are like real life examples of like Ernest Shackleton, for example, who was also trying to get to the North Pole. And their ship got stuck, and for them, all of those guys listened to Shackleton because his priority was getting everyone home alive, It wasn't, okay, it doesn't matter how many of you die, we're going to get to the North Pole. It was, okay, we're in a bad situation. We're going to get out of it. We're all going to get out of it, you know? So it's tough to see this guy who's actively choosing to let them be in danger or die while he's massaging his feet in front of the fire.
Well, and I think like it all comes down to how well they sold the vision of the goal, you know, because I think in those stories, it was always sold at the very beginning, like you probably will die on this trip.
His ad specifically says that.
Yeah.
It's like low pay, bad environment, you'll probably die, but if we make it, glory.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so the selling the idea that there's glory at the end of it, and maybe that's the answer to all of those leaders that I just talked about, is the idea that you'll be part of some sort of glory at the end. That this mission that my vision that I see for the future, you can be part of it. And maybe that was a big disconnect to this captain, is we didn't really understand the vision of the captain or the selling of the captain of like the glory that they were going to get on the accomplishment of their task. Like we just saw him, you know, kind of whipping them into shape and forcing them to do things where maybe there could have been some dialogue added on that ladder of remember the reason why we're here. You know, like remember the glory that we will have. For like
a motivating speech rather than just you better do what I say.
Yeah, do what I say or die. It's just like, you're one guy. Like there's 50 of us out here, you know, like if we want to turn home, like we should turn home, you know, but instead of, you know, the two ways of motivating someone is like through fear or through reward. And turning that moment into a moment to have, you know, a realignment of it's like, hey, this sucks really, really bad. And I understand it sucks. I'm out here too. It's cold.
Yeah, my feet are cold, man.
But we can get through this. And, you know, all that being said, like, yes, that's part of Frankenstein, but, you know, I don't know. It's just something that popped into my head as I was watching it.
Yeah, I definitely had similar thoughts. I do like the parallels that you find in this story, like the captain's blind ambition, you know, being mirrored in Victor's blind ambition. You know, Victor hated his father hated him, so then he hates his creation, and his creation ends up hating him.
And then you have what's the actor's name that is funding?
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz, where he has the blind admission of like, I'm dying of syphilis and I need a new body. You know, and like the only reason I care about this is because I think Victor can provide me a new body.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that didn't really close, you know, like, I mean, he dies. Obviously it closes that way.
I think that's supposed to be the moral, like blind ambition will get you killed.
I was expecting Victor to like take something from him, you know, his heart or like his arm or something, and like put his heart into into the creature to then expose like some sort of like continuance from him, like he succeeded in some way, shape, or form in that way, but
you can't because he has syphilis and it's throughout the whole body.
Yeah, and that's what Victor was saying. Yeah, he's like, none of you is.
Plus, he's been down in mercury for months now. Like that. The one thing that we know about modern science is don't put mercury in or on your body.
Yeah. But, you have anything else you want to kind of bring up?
So many things, actually, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I got notes here. So I listened to an interview with the makeup director. It took 10 hours to put on the makeup for Jacob Elordi. 10 hours.
I saw a time lapse of it, and it looked like pretty intense.
That's crazy. Mia Goth, obviously, that was a lot easier for him. But he did say that he's really, really proud of the fact that a lot of people didn't recognize that Victor's mother is also Mia Goth.
Oh, yeah.
So he was very proud. He's upset that more people didn't notice, but he's proud that people didn't notice, you know?
what was interesting to me is I 100% thought that the creature was MGK. Like this his body and everything, and like his face even at the end, towards the end, you're just like, that's MGK for sure. Like I didn't realize he got this role.
I also thought that when he had like the short hair, you know, he kind of looked like Nicholas Hoult from Warm Bodies.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, I could see that a little bit.
and then when he was freshly born and bald, he kind of looked like the alien human combination in Alien Romulus.
I don't remember.
Oh, look it up. Looks just like him. Let's see here. Another thing is that Guillermo del Toro does not like fake explosions, and he doesn't like CGI sets. Like he doesn't want the screens that just show you what it looks like. They built all of those sets, and then they built miniatures so they could explode them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What else? Obviously the milk, you know, is to show that like when Victor starts talking about his story, where does he start? He starts at his relationship with his mother, and then he talks about how his dad was never around, but when his dad was around, she took his mother away from him. So this is an Oedipus complex. He is viewing his father as a rival.
For all of us that don't know what Oedipus means.
Oedipus is a Greek tragedy about a character named Oedipus who is separated from his family at birth, I think, and his father is the king, mother is the queen. Later on, he comes back to the kingdom, not knowing that they're his mother and father. He ends up killing his dad, marrying his mother. So when a man loves his mother a little too much, they call it an Oedipus complex.
Okay.
And so that was what they had the milk, you know,
To represent.
Like, I don't know. Fact check me, people. But I was thinking about this. I don't know if Victor ever consumes anything other than milk in this movie.
I can't remember.
There is the scene where they're about to like eat dessert, but he ends up talking to Mia Goth's character, and I don't think that he takes I think he leaves. I remember thinking nobody ate that dessert. Like all of them left except for Mia Goth, who started eating it.
Yeah. I mean, looking at just Victor Frankenstein's life, it has all the signs of someone that we've learned that would lead someone to be a serial killer. You know, like an over-attachment to his mother, the Oedipus complex or whatever it might be. And then like his father, like kind of abusing him in one way, shape, or form. And then like kind of having like a lonerish life where he decides to dedicate his life to like some sort of task. Which what's interesting about this film too is just like how they're coming about all the bodies and stuff, and even him going to the hangings and like looking at people and measuring them up and being like, okay, this guy, we're taking this guy. And then they decide, oh, the war is the greatest thing that could ever happen to us because we're just going to go and gather all these bodies. And with all the pieces that he put together to make the creature, it's just insane. Like, why? How would you pick like just that one piece of skin perfectly right there on the chest is like what you would pick? You know, like there was no other pieces of skin that were good enough that were bigger. You know, like
in the book, they describe him harvesting the pieces as finding the most beautiful parts. And so like if he's that, because it's all coming back to his own narcissism, right? He wants his creation to be like the most beautiful thing, but then when it actually comes to life, he's like, whoa, this thing's ugly.
Well, and I think that he thinks that it's ugly because of how innocent it is. You know, like he was expecting to have like all the attributes of the humans that he put into it. Like he's like, oh, this is going to be a superhuman that's going to be super, has super strength, super smart, like whatever, like all the things that the creature actually is, after given the chance of learning. And I thought what was interesting too is when when Victor Frankenstein is deciding to destroy the creature, he's like, "Give me one thing more than Victor," and then he like says Elizabeth, and Victor hears it, and it was one thing. It was one thing more, but then he still decides to try and destroy him. And I was like, it wasn't about the one thing. He really wasn't seeking. He just wanted to destroy it.
Yeah, because of that one thing.
Mm.
He wanted to destroy it because Elizabeth had an attachment to it and not him. She looked at him as despicable, but she looked at this creature that was ugly and gross as something so pure and beautiful, which is super interesting with her religion. She since the creature didn't come from the original sin, she looks at it as pure.
Oh.
And her religion, in a lot of ways, is what motivates her with this creature, which is super interesting. Let's see. One more thing about the makeup, and then I'm done. The wig that Jacob Elordi wears actually has different color tones in different spots. Like it'll be a patch of blonde here and like brown and black. And the makeup director did that because he wanted to show like
different skulls.
Yeah, they came from different scalps. Cool detail.
Yeah. I wonder like if they had decided like how many people were like put together to make the creature.
Oh yeah, like an actual number.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of patches on there.
There's a lot
and then
patches.
You got to think of all the tissue, muscle, sinew, not even just the exterior of what he used, but like everything on the interior as well.
Yeah.
Well, sweet.
Crazy.
Well, let's rate this thing. You want to go first?
Yeah. So we've seen 2 movies recently, well, within the last year, where a director has spent allegedly 30 to 50 years planning this movie. This is one of them. For a movie that a guy spent 50 years thinking about, and then one of his main actor drops out a few weeks before filming. Andrew Garfield was supposed to be the creature originally, and he ended up having to drop out. They found Jacob Elordi, didn't miss a single day of production. Like, he just jumped in.
Yeah, because how hard is his role? I'm just kidding. He memorized his lines like in one day.
I feel like this was supposed to be Jacob Elordi's Revenant, where it's like you say five words. In some scenes, it comes off as his Groot.
Victor Groot.
Anyways, Guillermo del Toro has spent the last 50 years thinking of how to make this movie. He says that Frankenstein is in every movie that he's made so far. I listened to 3 interviews where he said this, so he's probably telling the truth. It was really good. Like, I had a lot of fun with it. The sets were awesome. The costume was really cool. Like, the color design, like you said, the shots that are super technical and hard to pull off, but they did it in a really cool way. Even that scene, I know the scene that you're talking about because I felt the same way, where the camera it's moving and then also switching different angles and stuff. It was disorienting, but I felt like it was supposed to be disorienting for the conversation even, There's a lot of things I liked. Like I mentioned, I think that it was probably a little bit too long and didn't show you the eloquence that the monster really achieves. I think stylistically it's a 5. But I'm going to give it a 4.5. Fight me.
Interesting. So Toast has 2 ratings for this movie. Yeah, I agree with most everything that you said. I think that it was beautiful. I think the shots were creative. I thought the performances were really good. The world that was created was eloquent and real. I do feel like the length of it brought it down a little bit for me. But with that being said, Shelby loved the length of it. Like she was like, had no problem with it. So I'm sure that there's
I'm sure she had no problems with the length of it.
But I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well.
This is rare.
I think you have to. I think that there isn't much that you can say bad about it. And it's just solid. It's a solid movie. I mean, to get a 5, I think it could have been a 5 for me if I didn't leave the theater thinking 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Give me 20 minutes less. Other than that, it was amazing. And yeah, I think everyone created a world that was different, and the costume and the makeup was definitely next level. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about this one. If you guys thought it was too long, or if it was just right, or if it should have been rated a 5 or a 1.2. I don't know. Let us know what you think.
And we'll catch you on the next one.